welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. If you are new to our channel, subscribe, get involved in the comment section down below, do your player ratings on UTV podcast, and just drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. So, the episode after my little bit of passionate rant, shall we say, quite a lot of you agreed. There was some people that disagreed, and that's fine. That's just my opinion, your opinion, and it's a match reaction, isn't it? You know, I am reacting to the match that we've just seen, a match reaction. So I think I was very passionate, and I am a very passionate Villa fan, and I was just annoyed. I was really, really annoyed. You know, I understand that we were on an amazing run of 10 games unbeaten. You know, I totally understand how good of a run that was. But yesterday was yesterday. Wolves is Wolves. Wolves is at the Molyneux. It's a completely different game to what we've done in the past. I think to reflect on that run, to reflect on the season, you know, I keep saying, like, we can reflect on it after the season. We can look back, you know, see how well we've done, etc., praise the team for that run. At the end of the season, when I'm coming on and I'm reacting after a game, I'm literally reacting to that game. I'm not really looking at the context of what we've done 3 or 4 games ago. I'm looking at the here and now and what we did at the Molyneux. And I was annoyed. I was really annoyed. I didn't like what I saw at times, because we were going for Europe, weren't we? We were going for 7th place. We were in sort of 7th, weren't we? Or maybe we were 8th. Now we're 3 points behind Spurs. And I think, like I said yesterday, that run enabled us to be in the position to go to Old Trafford in a European place. It enabled us to go to Wolves in a European place and try and fight for the victory to end the season really well and to potentially get into Europe. That is partly where my frustration lied yesterday, is that we knew that there was something big riding on the game against Wolves, and we didn't win. And that is where my focus is. Like we heard before the game, Emery speaking about Europe, McGinn speaking about Europe. We've heard Ramsey talking about Europe. And it does sort of feel like we've faltered at the final hurdle. Whether we're ready for Europe, or whether we are, the ambition or the aim at the start of the season might not have been to get into Europe. Where I look at it is we were in the positions to strike in the last 4 games. That's where my thinking is that it was the time to strike, the time to turn up and to get that victory. We said all week, you know, most people in the comment sections all week were saying, must win, must beat Wolves to get Europe. So surely if we didn't win, you are allowed to be annoyed at that performance. So that's where my annoyance was. And, you know, I've been watching Premier League all season. I've been listening to certain managers talking, and one manager stands out for me. And one manager's mindset I actually really, really like, and it's Ten Hag. And after the loss or the draw, the draw when they blew it against Spurs, all he spoke about and all he's been speaking about all season is that sort of reaction, the reaction after a bad performance. And he's really big on that. If you ever listen to Ten Hag after they lose a game, all he ever speaks about is the reaction. How do we react in the next game to get that victory? And that's what it's all about for him. So he has a bad result, you react, you get the win the next game. And that's the mentality that I want this team to have. Lose a game, we win the next one. You win the next one, you're back on track, aren't you? And I know football's different. You can lose 2 in a row. You can lose 3 in a row. But you know, that's just how I am as a Villa fan. Like I expect big things and I want big things and I want us to do well. I want us to have that mentality. Like I look at the two teams on paper. Yes, Molyneux is a difficult place to go to. We're in better form and we're a better team. You know, so I did have a bit of a meltdown, did have a bit of a rant, but that's just how I felt straight after the game. I was just really annoyed that we didn't win and we've lost out potentially on a European place. I can be annoyed at that. I can show my frustration because next season, like, what's the aim? You know, we're gonna recruit really, really well. We're gonna bring in some fantastic players, but the aim's to get into Europe. And we were there this year. We were so close. Like, we may still do it if we go on the next 3 games and go unbeaten and beat Spurs and they fall off a cliff. But we were so close this year. That's where I'm annoyed at. That's where my thinking is. That we were like there. So it's going to be so difficult next year, whether we recruit really well or not. Spurs are going to get better. Chelsea are going to get better. So the task next year is going to be really difficult. Anyway, let's go into the player ratings and we'll go from there. So get involved in the comment section down below and share your player ratings. So utvpodcast.co.uk. We'll give Martinez we'll give him tough one. We'll give him a 7. He didn't really have to do too much all game, did he? He made a really good save off Costa in the second half. I felt like his kicking was decent. So I think a 7's a good score for Martinez. And my point as well is, some of these scores might be okay because we actually did play okay in this game. But my annoyance is, and I'm sticking with where my annoyance is that we just didn't win. That's where I'm at. Like, I thought we played okay, knocked it about okay. They sat in with a low block. But I'm after that extra 5% to get us over the line, to get us into Europe, to be better. That's where I'm at. My passion is only bottled up for Villa to do well. I don't come on here to have a rant just to moan. I'm just honest. It's just my honest opinions. So Young, we'll go 6 for Ashley Young. I thought he did okay on that left-hand side. Right-hand side, sorry. He didn't really do too much wrong, but again, it just feels like it just needs rotating, doesn't it? It just feels like it just needs that change. Moreno, I'll give a 6 to Moreno. I thought in the second half he was better when he was going forward. I felt like Lopetegui really nullified our left-hand side. You know, he had that, is it Mateus Nunes that was on the left-hand side to sort of impose. I think it is Mateus Nunes, isn't it? Let me just let's just have a look. I'm sure it's yes. So Mateus Nunes is on the left-hand side. He really did try and nullify Moreno, and I felt like he did do that in the first half. Second half, Moreno was getting a little bit more joy, but I felt like he had an okay game as well. Konsa, I'll give a 6 for. Mings, I'll give a 6 for as well. I felt like they were okay playing out from the back. Mings had a massive chance in the second half, didn't he? Konsa, I liked it when he sorts and out steps out from centre back. I think he does that role really well. I think he's improved massively. So both of them were okay. I think there was a little bit of a mix-up from the corner that they scored off. Dougie Luiz, I'll give. Didn't quite happen for Dougie Luiz, did it? We'll go with a 6 for Luiz. He's up against Neves, who presses really well. I felt like he tried to get on it, but it was just breaking down. And when I was saying it was back to double pivot FC, and you saw from the passing network that when everything goes into central midfield, there wasn't a lot else in front of that double pivot. So it was a really difficult game for Luiz to start picking passes because, when they're sitting with a low block, it's difficult for us to break down. And I think we really found that out. Buendia, I'll give Buendia a 6 as well. Again, he was brave enough to try and get on the ball and show things. He had a great shot and it was saved by Sarr in the first half. But again, there was just no movement in front of him. The eye of a needle pass just wasn't there, was it? Felt like a couple of times he did dwell on the ball and lose it. Interestingly, he did win a lot of his ground duels as well. So fair play to Buendia. I know in my match reaction I was a little bit annoyed at Buendia, but he did have a decent game, to be fair. McGinn, was back in the double pivot. I did want him to go in that double pivot. But again, the bustle was there. He tried hard and it just broke down in front of him, didn't it? So he had a decent game in central midfield. Ramsey, I'm going to give a 5 to Ramsey. I just didn't see enough from Ramsey getting on the ball. No progressive carries, really. I think when they're playing with a solid bank of 4 in central midfield, it's so tight, so congested. I'm just looking at him to try and just be a bit braver on the ball. And I just think sometimes Ramsey can just he can just disappear for like 15, 20 minutes in the game. And I think those are the times where we can't have players that just wilt, and I think that's what it's shown recently in some of the games, that we've got players that just tend to disappear, and I think we can't have that. I mean, he didn't really give the ball away. That's harsh, isn't it, for him? What could I give him? Give him a 5. It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough on that side. For the players that I think we're going to be looking at to come in on that side, an absolute live wire energy. When you get that ball on that touchline, you don't know where I'm going. Am I going back? Am I going left? Am I going forward? Am I going to the ball line? Am I going to whip it in? Am I going to do a bit of skill? All too predictable now, especially on that top left-hand side, right-hand side, sorry. It's all far too predictable. Watkins, don't know what to do. I'm going to go 5. He missed a big chance, the header. And I think this is where we kind of need a bit of a mix-up with a striker, because it, just like how certain areas on this pitch can feel a bit one-dimensional, at times our forward line can look completely one-dimensional. Like, I think at times, although in recent times under different managers, he's sort of gone out wide and he's been absolutely useless there, I think it would be helpful to have someone that can sometimes just drop that little bit deeper, hold the ball up and just allow other players to come into play. I don't think at this minute Watkins might not be being told to do that, but it just feels like at times he's just not in the games, is he? And unless it's like ball comes across and it's on a plate, there's not really much of a chance for Watkins. So I just think, next season, this striker that comes in is going to have different traits to Watkins, completely different traits, altogether. You know, when you're looking at a player like Vlahovic, who, you know, comes in deeper, he's a different type of striker, and I think we need that different, versatile option. Bailey, I'll give him a 5. He looked like a player that hadn't played for a while. You know, a couple of touches, he touched them out for a throw-in. There was one time where, you know, he really did get down the byline, and as soon as I picked the ball up, I was like, just go for him, take him down the byline. And he actually did, to be fair. And you know, I think we got a corner, and there was that one when he did that nice little trick and the jink, and you know, he managed to do 2 players, and he got fouled, and that's what we want to see more often from Bailey. Diego Carlos, when he came on, I felt like he had a really good game. He was pinging passes. He looked really good, to be fair, and you can tell from that little cameo that he completely looks like a ball-playing centre-back. There was 2 times where he did one pass to Watkins, he did one pass to Moreno, long raking passes, and it was really good, to be fair, and so happy to have him back on the pitch. Duran will go with a 5. He didn't really do much, did he? Kamara, again, brilliant to have him back on the pitch. We'll go 5, and Luka Dean will give 5. So my player ratings, 5s, 6s, and 7s in there. So they're my player ratings. For some context, we'll have a look at Sofa Scores player ratings. What have they give Villa players then? So they've gave, I nearly gave Martinez a 7. I gave him a 7. They give him a 6.7, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, 6.4, 7.1, 6.8, 6.5. So some decent ratings. They've gave man of the match to Buendia. So the overall performance wasn't that bad. We controlled the game. We created chances. But we lost. And it was a game that we had to win. So I think that's where my mindset was on the game. Like, we played well and lost. And we were going for Europe. So that's just where I am at. That's just my thoughts on the whole situation. You know, we'll look back at the end of the season, review it, see what was really good. But while we're here now, that's the only thing that I can look at. And it's just, I just wanted that reaction from United. So it's going to be a massive, massive game at Villa Park against Spurs now, because we're going to have to try everything to get back on level terms with Spurs. So we'll have a debrief. We'll have a little bit more of a deeper dive in. I'll get a guest on as well to share their thoughts as well. So thanks everyone that has watched the recent episodes. Cheers for all of your support. Get involved in the comment section down below as well. Up the Villa.